Hi, I'm Carla Nelson. I'm so happy you joined with me today because I really want to talk about something that I feel is extremely important, and that is patterns. Patterns that we developed growing up, patterns that we may have developed in adolescence even, that served us then but don't necessarily serve us now. So children will develop patterns to keep safe. They will develop patterns to get approval, to get love, and that usually works. Actually, that's adaptive. But what happens is when we're adults, so often these patterns don't work. But if we're stressed enough, we automatically play them because that's basically that pattern is so deeply ingrained in our mind. So let me talk about patterns that I think are really not adaptive. One pattern for me has been feeling that I have to be overly grateful every time somebody does something nice for me, shows me love in a certain way, gifts me with something. I spent years feeling like I had to, pay them back, if you will, and let them know how important that was to me, until a wise friend of mine set me straight. And she said that when I do that, I actually diminish my the gratitude that she was receiving, because this is a friend who does a great deal for me to this day. So I have been working on that one, and I will have to be honest, I am still working on that one. Another pattern that I think I'm making a little more progress on is the fact that I know how to work and do it well, have a much harder time allowing myself to play and creating the balance that's so necessary for all of us. We get more done actually when we are more balanced in our life and have playtime as well as work time and alone time. But it was a real strong value in my family that working hard was really a must. It was expected. I would come home from school and the first words out of my mouth would be, "How can I help?" Saturdays were spent cleaning all day long. I don't remember any family vacations, and so what I learned, the pattern that I developed, was that it was really wrong to play very much, that I needed to be productive all the time, that I need to be accomplishing things all the time. And that's not balanced, actually. There was not only a family value, it was also a value of my church. And I just have to share this with you. I grew up, and this was a hymn that I learned when I was probably 8 or 9 years old, and I still remember all the words to it. I'd sing it for you, but I'll spare you that, okay? So these are the words to the song. Put your shoulder to the wheel, push along. Do your duty with a heart full of song. We all must work, let no one shirk. Put your shoulder to the wheel. It goes on to say, the world has need of willing men who wear the worker's seal. The work to do is here for you. Put your shoulder to the wheel. And it goes back into what I said at the beginning. And this was a pretty deeply ingrained pattern, and I am learning to actually allow myself to read during the middle of the day a book that isn't necessarily going to enhance my growth in any way, but just a lot of fun. I am learning to spend more time hiking. I am learning to do lots of things that I never allowed myself to do before. We all have these patterns, and they hurt us when we grow up. So many of these patterns hurt us. So I'd like you to just think about a pattern that you learned growing up that you might still be, practicing today, even when you don't want to. Let me remind you, when we're stressed enough, that pattern will play itself out. It just works that way. So we have to start fighting that pattern, allow ourselves to feel guilty. In my case, allow myself to feel like I'm not accomplishing enough. But when we do that, it's very liberating, and we are actually claiming our power in a beautiful way. Thank you so much for being with me today.